Mike Waring for another Tiger Sports Network interview. Today I'm joined by head coach of the Wittenberg women's soccer team, Matt Fannon. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm good. How are you, Mike?
Good. So let's give the viewers out there, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in the UK. Came over here at about 18, and I coached for a little while, went back to college and played in West Virginia. And then moved out west with my now wife, Julie. Lived in Denver for a few years. And then I moved up to be the assistant coach at the University of Wyoming. And while we were in Wyoming, we had our first child, who is now turning 8 months. So the three of us live in Springfield now.
Very nice. So you say you were at Wyoming. You're assistant coach there, correct?
Yes.
What would you say the biggest difference from University of Wyoming to Wittenberg would be?
You know, there's a couple of things. I think the obvious one is geographically, it's a very different place. I remember the nearest Chipotle was about an hour's drive, which was awful for us. But I think the thing that we like the most is just how great the people are here. It wasn't that there was anyone that wasn't particularly pleasant in Wyoming, but from the first time I stepped off the plane on my interview and meeting Garnett, just knew that he cared and he was bothered and he wanted to make sure he found the right person to be here, and really took the time to get to know me. Then I got to meet Johnny, who is just unbelievable, has more energy as an AD than anybody I know, desperate to get things done. And then across campus, everybody's always so much, really wants to just help you with anything they can. You know, whether it's the faculty or the staff or even the students, everybody is just really pleasant, really desperate to make the entire experience for the campus as good as it can possibly be.
Awesome. So what are some challenges you've had being a first-time head coach?
You know, I think the biggest challenge is being a head coach without a lot of help. As an assistant, most of the day-to-day running of the program was done by myself and the other full-time assistant, and the head coach was able to get on with, you know, planning practices and games, which we obviously helped with, but the little things, people being in touch, getting back in emails, things like that. And what we did as 3 full-time staff before, I now have to take care of by myself, which just means very long days, very long hours, but it's either that or the program isn't going to get to where it has the potential to be.
So what would you say your coaching philosophy kind of is? Like, what do you try to get to your players?
You know, I think the biggest thing as far as the philosophy goes is that everything is ours. It's not, you know, I'll never say my team or my player. I'm a part of the team just as much as the girl that sits on the end of the bench during games. Because if she thinks for a second she's not as important as me, right, we're not going to get the most out of practice, therefore we're not going to get the most out of games, we're not going to get to where we can. So the biggest thing for me is making sure that everybody understands their role and understands how important their role is. And there's never somebody that's above somebody else. With that, I think everything, of course, has to be team first. But to be able to get that, you've got to have the personal responsibility. And that has to be started from the staff. You know, if I'm showing up late, why are the girls going to show up on time? Just the little things like that. And the attention to detail, the small things that really make a difference. We talk within the team about how doing the small things will make the big things come naturally. And I think that's really, really important.
So you guys have had a couple games already. So what have your thoughts been on the season so far?
You know, the previous coach here was a fantastic guy that I've spoken to a couple of times and did a really good job. And when I first got here, I thought the transition was going to be pretty small, not a lot of changes. And for the most part, that's the case. But there are a few things that are just a little bit different. For example, we, as a team, defend just a little bit differently across the field. And getting the players used to brand new ideas and concepts that they've not seen before is one of the biggest challenges in the first couple of games. And I really feel like now that we've played a couple of times, people are really bought into what we're trying to do. And people are really working hard for each other. And I really feel like we've, I don't want to say turned a corner, because that almost sounds like, you know, we're in the wrong direction to start with, right? But I think we're in a place where we are extremely difficult to beat. And that's just such a great building block to go from going forward.
So you guys won a NCAC regular season title last year, made it to the playoffs. Do you have the same expectations as a coach every year? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think expectations and goals have to be realistic.
Yeah.
But with the players we've got and the team that we have, in all my time coaching and any team I've ever been involved with or known, I've never known a group of people that are closer and more well-knit and care about each other in the programme more than the group we have here. And when you have that, again, everything can be built from that. So, yeah, we have big expectations. Now, I think the truth of it is that whatever our long-term goals are, we worry simply about the next game.
Right.
We're worried about a game that we have tonight against Capital, and when that's done, we'll worry about our game on Sunday against Mount St Joseph. But until tomorrow, we won't even talk about the next game. It's all about tonight.
So, tell us a little more about the competition within the NCAA. So you think you have a good chance to repeat again? Or?
You know, the honest truth is I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
It's my first time as Division III coach, and it's, of course, my first time in the NCAA. So I know that other NCAA teams are doing well right now. The great thing and almost the best and worst part about Ohio being such a good hotbed for soccer and such a good Division III group of schools is that everybody's taking points off everybody else, you know, so you can never get a good idea. Teams that we beat are beating teams that we'll play against, but teams that we lose against are losing to teams that we'll play, you know, and there's so much talent within our conference and within this state that you can never really tell. And to be honest with you, I think that's the best part about soccer.
Yeah.
You know, you can turn up and it's not always the case like football. You're always going to get the ball back at some point. You're always going to have the chance. In soccer, you make a mistake, that could be the end of the game.
Right. So, final question. You say you played against Capital.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for tonight, but for the rest of the season, maybe some players to watch that you really enjoy watching and really help the team out.
You know, I hate to disappoint you, but I really think that our strength is in the core of the whole team. You know, I wouldn't say that we have any players that stand out with anybody else. That isn't saying we don't have great players,
right.
We do. But I think we have a squad that's great. I think we have a group of people that working together make us great. I don't imagine that one person's going to score 20 goals while the next scorer is going to have 3 or 4. Goals come from all across the field. I think our top scorer now has 2. You know, because we've got 4 or 5 different people that have scored. You know, we're solid defensively, but again, it's not one person; it's as a unit. And I think that is probably the biggest reason that we have a chance to be successful.
Well, Coach, thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next interview, whatever it may be. Tiger up.